Enerdis arrived on time. The two guys turned up when they said they would, and then the other engineers came to cut the supply so that they could do their thing. And so you've just seen a little clip of one of the guys starting to chop down the trees. Their job was to take them around about a metre lower than the electric cable. That's what they sort of chose to do. But I had a little word in his ear, and he agreed to cut the rest of the trees down to the same, more or less the same cable height. We came to sort of an arrangement, and that means that I can then take down the rest of the trees fairly comfortably, because when they fall, they're not going to. When they're felled, they're not going to fall much more than within the garden itself, and most of the branches are off there now. So you've got these sort of large trunk stumps, probably around about 6 meters high, where, like I said, would be fairly comfortable for me to take care of. So while they were giving it some with the chainsaws, I was trying to get the ridge tiles in place. We're due a bit of rain tomorrow, and I wanted to make sure that if nothing else, the ridge tiles were all in. So this video is a little bit weird because it's kind of like the duck in the water video, where there's masses of things going on that you're not seeing. Sort of go up and down the steps several times, doing cuts to try and close the gap. I've finished off the last sort of 6 courses of tiling so that I can get the ridge tiles in. And obviously there's cuts to be done, and there's a bit more knocking up of mortar to be done in between. So I'd bedded in 15 ridge tiles yesterday, and there were left about 11 to go in today, 10 or 11. So I'd already made a start on those. And obviously I was doing other things as well. I was sort of clearing some of the batten that had been in the loft area and storing that into the barn. I also dropped part of the ceiling in the kitchen as well. But there was a couple of times where I couldn't work on the roof because he was too near, and just for health and safety, he was sort of said, "You just got to hang on a little bit." So there will be some other videos as well, but I've had a real nightmare with trying to download the last one I've downloaded, which is the first set of ridge tiles going in. That took over 3 hours to download, for something like a 22-minute video. So I don't know what it is, whether it's my laptop or the Wi-Fi here, or I have no idea. But it was an absolute nightmare, and I really don't want to be spending after a very hard day's work. I don't want to be spending 3 or 4 hours faffing about on a computer. So if there aren't any other videos after this on a daily basis, I'd have to wait until I get back to Paris, and I'll reorganise them. So I do apologise in advance if that is the case. But I've no idea what's going on here. It just took so long to download. Maybe it's just the laptop's just ran out of memory. I don't know. So, like I say, I've managed to get the final tiles on, or the ridge tiles rather, and there was a small cut to go in between just to finish off, which there was a cut initially on the old roof, and quite a few of the ridge tiles that I've used are replacement ones, so they're not the original ones. So there may be a marginal difference in size. I don't know. They're all around about 30 centimeters. So maybe it's just whether they've bedded in tighter than I've bedded in. But whichever way it goes, there's a 2.5 inch sort of sliver of ridge tile. I toyed with the idea of either cutting 2 ridge tiles down, sort of 3/4 size each to fit in, or half size each. And then I thought, no, sod it. It'd been a tough all day anyway. I thought I'll just do that. It's near enough to the chimney stacks, so it's going to get a certain amount of protection. And I just thought, no, I'm just going to just bed that in. It was like 7 o'clock in the evening. I was absolutely shattered. It had been about 30 degrees all day long. I've been drinking water like a fish, and it was doing nothing at all. So sometimes you just have to cut a slight corner. So that's what I did. So there's a sliver that goes in to finish off. So they put the full tile in towards the chimney stack, and then the slivers between the full by the chimney stack and the next one along, getting them in line with where the TV aerial is. So excellent day today. The tree guy really chuffed with what they did, and my God, he had some branches to cut. They don't, when they cut, they don't take anything away with them. So it's literally just they'll dump it into your garden, um, which is to be expected. But they were really nice guys, the two guys. But there was one guy sort of working on the ground, and he was sort of, as the stuff was coming down, he was then chopping it a little bit, and then he was kind of helping stack it for me. Um, and so no, the garden is absolutely awash with pine tree branches and pine tree trunks, chunks of trunk. And the neighbour didn't get away scot free either, because as they were cutting this, they cut quite a bit from his side, and they just dropped the whole lot. So his front garden is actually rammed full of branches now. So he was in a bit of a shock when he came around the corner and saw that. I did say, don't worry about it. I'll get it sorted out. I just wanted to get these ridge tiles in, and then tomorrow I'll clear his garden a wee bit. Speaking of my neighbour, the mayor popped round as well. The actual mayor at the moment, the former mayor did as well. So I had a few people visiting me today. But anyway, the mayor was there because Enerdis were there, because he just wanted to make sure everything would be fine. Because obviously they're not only cutting my supply, they're cutting a few of the residents' supplies just while the tree cutting was being taking place. So he came around some late morning just to see what was going on, and obviously he popped over just to see me. We had a bit of a chat, and he said they're all a bit flummoxed about what's going on with the guy next door. But anyway, he said, "Do you know he's actually put the house up for sale?" I said, "No," and he said, "Yeah." He said, "But the guy's dreaming. He's put it on the Bon Coin. He's put it up for €150,000. Now, in this area, you can get houses for €150,000, but not his. That's for sure. You can get nice sort of detached houses with. He's got a fair chunk of land. It has to be said. He's got about 1,900 square meters of land, sort of attached to it. But the house itself is a bit of a mess. It has to be said. There would be a lot of work needed to be done to bring it up to anything like scratch. And really, the average price in this town of these sort of houses is around about €80,000. So I don't know whether he's really chancing his arm, but I can't see anybody. He's obviously reaching out to the Parisians that are looking for a secondary home and that maybe have a bit of money to burn. But I'd be incredibly surprised if he sold for that. Mine, I'd be going straight on the market the next day, um, because it would just be insane if he could sell his house in that state. He says in the advert, it's you need to be expecting to be doing renovation works to it. So he's kind of trying to sell it at top. He's selling it at the value that it's more than, but the meterage, square meterage, is more than in Paris. To be honest, to believe it, if you believe that, um, 1800, euros a square meter. He's trying to sell it for. So anyway, we'll see with that one. So yeah, so the mayor popped in and he was a bit, like I say, he was a bit flabbergasted with what's going on with the guy anyway. He's not happy that there's two young children in what he considers not to be decent living accommodation, but it's something I really don't want to be getting involved in. It's not my concern. Um, the children seem happy enough, so that's for somebody else to sort of worry about. And then the former mayor Roger, he came as ever, on his daily pursuit to seeing what's going on in the house. So he was chuffed to bits as well that the trees were coming down. And he was also saying that he knows somebody that's got a wood chipper down in the village, and he's going to have a word with them and see if he wouldn't just loan it to me for a day or two, so I could. I mean, it doesn't really matter either way. I can always buy one, but if the guy wants to do that, I'll give him a few quid for loaning it, and I can shred up some of the things. And I was trying to explain to him we're going to be trying to make some trellis and stuff with the branches, and he couldn't quite get to grips with what I was trying to do. So I then had to sort of get some branches and sort of put them into place. And he was like, "Oh, okay, okay, okay." And he was like saying that, so you're going to do the entire village because there's so much timber, there's so many branches now. It's like, so you're going to do everybody's fence in the village area. So we had a bit of a joke about that. But yeah, he was chuffed that the trees are coming down. And then the trees on the left hand side that you can still see there, they're less of an issue because they're kind of away from the main access cables. There's one that's coming in, but I'd already cut all the branches that were close to that. So that isn't really an issue, and I'm fairly confident I can drop those trees into my garden without any problem at all. And the guys that did the other side, sort of separating my neighbours and where the cables were, my God, they must have spent a good 3 hours just doing the works that actually weren't part of their works. You know, their works were to cut the two or three of the big trees a metre lower than the electric cable and not be going anywhere near where there's also telephone cables below it. Like I said, I had a word with him, and we sort of came to an arrangement. So he then took those down on the front of the property. He took those down to below the telephone cables, which is great. And the others nearer to the house are slightly higher, but they'll drop quite nicely straight into the garden, the height that they are. So that's good. So I can take care of that. So I was really chuffed with that. So that's that done. So as you can see, while I'm chatting away, the final tiles are going in. So you can see the little sliver that I put in as well, and the final rooster's crest on either one, and a bit of render. I need to put a bit of render onto the chimney stack just to close it. Where I put some expanding foam just to hold the last few tiles that were there. Didn't think it was worth my while trying to cut a sliver of ridge tile across that because there's nothing really in its place. It's really, I think it was, I can't remember what it was before. It's possibly only render before, but it will remain render now. And then there's a tiny bit more render that'll be going down where the chimney stack is staggered, where it meets the tiles come in and meet, and there's a bit of flashing as well, and that's in there that can be tidied up. So very, very pleased. If we do get rain tomorrow, it's not going to have any bearings at all on the roof. The still a section, as you'll see towards the end of the video, there's still a section of roofing to be done, but getting the ridge tiles on is a huge step forward in this because it's an awkward thing to do anyway. I'm very pleased with the overall look of it. It's a reasonably decent level. It does snake a wee bit. I didn't do a roof cam this time because I was absolutely shattered. I was cream crackered. It was about 7:30 by the time I'd finished and washed up the tools and put everything away, and I just needed to sort of get back to the Airbnb. And also, like I said, I'd had this where I tried to download the video last night, and it just wasn't having any. And then when I've got back to the Airbnb at around about 8 o'clock, just after 8 o'clock, I then tried to download it again, and like I say, it took 3 hours. So I really don't fancy having to do that every night. So we'll see how we get on with this one. And like I say, if there's a gap between videos after this, unfortunately, that's kind of out of my control. So anyway, what else to say? Yeah, so I dropped a bit of the ceiling in the kitchen. I've exposed some other small electrical cables there. Another guy popped round. The guy that said he was going to help me, Noel, but never actually got round to it. He's now got a little job just down the road from me. He's boxing in, and they've got these Linky meters, which it's like a remote reading of your electrical um, supply. And everybody in France has got to have one. They've been around for donkey's years. Lots of people don't like them, but anyway, they put it on the outside for whatever reason of this property, which is a second home, a Parisian second home. And every time it rained, it was tripping out. So Noel was there to create like a little housing for it, a little bit, and then put a gate on as well, so that nobody else can access it. So he popped in just to say hi, see how I was getting on. So that was nice. So busy, busy, busy. Had a word as well with the neighbour's wife, the neighbour that's looking to sell the barn. She came over. She was all excited because she was having. She's going to be meeting an author apparently in Orleans later on in the afternoon or early evening for like a book signing. She told me the name, but I had no idea who it was. Oh, somebody called Aurelia, somebody or other. But she was just a bit that they were going back to Orleans by 5:30 to go to this book signing. So there's always somebody around. There's always somebody that will have a bit of a chat with you. And then the Enerdis guy. So one of them was actually one of the guys that connected me in the first place. So he said, "Do you remember me?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And then he was asking if I'd found anything like mobilettes in the barns. Mobilettes are like the moped type things that are very iconic for the French. And I said, no, sadly, nothing like that. Just lots of porn. So we had a bit of a laugh about that. But he's a collector of mobilettes. So if I'd had anything like that, he would have been welcome to it. I said, no, sadly, I haven't got anything like that. It was mainly junk that was in there. There's still about 1,000 video cassettes in there that need shifting. The barristers that came, the French guys that came, they took most of the stuff, but they left about 6 or 7 boxes of these cassettes. They call them cassettes. So they will have to go somewhere. I don't believe anybody's got any use for those these days. I don't know what you would do with it anyway. So all in all, a very eventful day. As you'll see in later videos, it's nice that there's actually no trees to the right hand side now. The only downside is that when I was working on there, yesterday I had a bit of shade because once the sun had gone across, I had the trees to shade me. Today I had no shade at all. It was just baking hot, baking hot. So anyway, that's that. That's that side of it. And then just to finish off, so it's about 7:30 in the evening now. I'm getting ready to rock and roll and go. And this is what it looks like from the front end. So I'm very pleased with that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video as ever. Thanks also for all your kind comments and suggestions and words of wisdom. And I look forward hopefully to seeing you in the next one if it downloads.